Hello everyone, I'm Anastasia. I welcome you all to this new session of Fundamental of Nursing. In today's session, we are going to deal with a very interesting topic, that is ethics. So, as we all know, that ethics and values is very important in our profession. Here, what do you mean by ethics? Ethics is a word which is derived from a Greek word ethos, which means custom or guiding belief. So now let us move on to the definition of ethics. Nursing ethics is defined as the value and ethical principles governing the nurse's practice, conduct, as well as their relationship with the people around them. So here nursing ethics is nothing but the values and the ethical principles that a nurse must follow during her professional life, as of how she performs her procedures and how she also maintains a relationship not only with the patient but also with the other healthcare professionals. It also refers to the moral code of nursing based on the obligation to the service which they provide as well as to the respect which they give to the human life. So this is what ethics is about. Moving on to the next, that is purpose of ethics. So why is this ethics important? This ethic is important because it serves a standard for the behavior of the nurse. So being in this profession, there are certain standards which you must adopt to. Here in ethics, there will be a set of standards which you will have to perform in your profession. The next one is the next is it also provides a general guideline for the nursing action. So whatever you do in your profession, either it is providing care, interacting with the people, or interacting with the other healthcare professionals, here this ethics will set a general guidelines for you to do so. It will also help you to distinguish between the right and the wrong, and also it helps you to take a good decision whenever you decide to provide care to any of the people. And the last one is to protect the rights of the individual. So these are the various purpose of ethics. Now moving on to the next one, what is the function of this? Here, the first function is that it helps the public to have a minimum information about the standards of our profession. It also provides a sign of the professional commitment to the public that it serves. The next is to outline the major ethical consideration of this profession, to provide the general guidelines for the professional behavior, and also to guide the profession in self-regulation. So these are the purpose and functions of ethics. Now moving on to the next, that is the ethical principles. Here there are 7 ethical principles. The first one is the principles of justice. Here as a nurse, you must be very fair when you provide care. The care must be fairly, equitably, as well as justly distributed among all the patient. There should not be any partiality or there should not be any discrimination towards the religion, caste or creed while you are providing care to the patient. The next one is beneficence. So what do you mean by beneficence? In nursing, beneficence means a nurse must always do the good and the right things to the client. So it is very important that whatever you do, whatever decision you make, you must make sure that this should be for the benefit of the client. The next one is non-malfeasance. So what do you mean by non-malfeasance? In nursing, non-malfeasance means that you should not do any harm to the client, either intentionally or unintentionally. So as a nurse, you must make sure that you do the right things to the client and at the right time. No matter what you are going to perform, you must make sure that everything is done accordingly. You must make sure not to skip any step or to follow all the procedures which is being prescribed by the physicians in order to help the client attain a good health as early as possible. The next one is accountability. Accountability means accepting one's own action. So as a nurse, you must accept all the professional as well as the personal consequences for your own actions. So in order to prevent this, you must make sure that you perform your duty efficiently. There must be Once you start providing care for a patient, you are accountable for the whole health condition of the patient until the patient leaves from the clinical settings. So when you take care of the patient, you are fully responsible for that particular person, and you must make sure that you do your best to provide an efficient care so that they attain a good health. The next one is fidelity. So what do you mean by fidelity? Fidelity means keeping one's own promise. So as a nurse, you must always be faithful and true to your professional promises, as well as responsibility of providing a high quality care to the patient. Moving on to the next one, that is autonomy. So being a nurse, it is very important that you must respect the client's rights, values, as well as belief. You must always treat everyone equally, and you must accept each and every client as a unique individual. You must also respect their decisions. You must also encourage them to make their own decision. And the last one here is veracity. So, as a nurse, it is very important that you must be truthful. No matter what the condition is, you must always state the fact and not try to build up false hope. So, these are the 7 ethical principles. Now, moving on to the next, that is the code of ethics. According to Porter and Perry, they have stated code of ethics as a set of ethical principles that are accepted by all the members of the profession. Here, every profession will have its own code of ethics. Here in nursing, these code of ethics serve as a guideline for the performance standards as well as the personal responsibility of the nurse. Here, the INC Code of Ethics of Nurses has given 4 elements that has outlined the standards of the ethical conduct. The first one here is the nurse and the people. The second is nurse and practice. The third is the nurse and the profession, and the last one, which is the nurse and the co-workers. So let us move on to the first element, that is the nurse and the people. As we all know that a nurse's primary responsibility is to provide care to the patient. So in order to provide a good quality care to the patient, we must promote an environment in which the individual families or the community rights, beliefs, and customs is being respected. We must also make sure that we must maintain a good interpersonal relationship with the client and with the family members in order to make them feel comfortable. And in this way, we will also come to know about various information about the client. But we as nurses must also make sure that these personal informations must be kept in confidentiality, and we must not leak these information to any other people. As a nurse, it is also your responsibility to initiate as well as to support the actions in order to meet the health and the social needs of the public. Here, you can also act as an advocate whereby you can help the client in decision making, as well as you can help them raise out their concern. You can also provide all the healthcare services which is available for the benefit of the people. The next one is the nurse and the practice. Here, as nurses, you carry personal responsibility and accountability for nursing practice. So, whatever you are performing, you must make sure that you do it to your best. And if there is anything that you feel that you are still lacking behind, or you are unable to do it properly, you can always strive for the betterment of it by the continuing learning. Here, through continual learning, you will be able to correct your mistakes. You will be able to also acquire all the new informations which you can adopt in your profession for the betterment of it. As a nurse, you must also make sure that you maintain a standard of personal health so that you will be able to provide high quality care to the patient and that your care will not be compromised. As a nurse, when you delegate duties to the other co-workers or to the other staff members, you must make sure to make a proper judgment. Delegation of duties is very important, because if you delegate the wrong responsibility to the wrong person, they may not be able to perform it efficiently, and this may decrease the quality of care which a patient must be provided with. As a nurse, you must also maintain a standard of professional conduct. Why? Because if you maintain this standard of professional conduct, this will reflect on your profession, And on seeing this, it will enhance the public confidence in you. And whenever you are providing care to the patient, whichever equipments or whichever procedure you are going to perform, you must make sure that it is compatible with the safety, dignity, as well as the rights of the people. Moving on to the last element, that is the nurses and the profession. Here, as a nurse, you have the major role in determining as well as interpreting the acceptable standards of the clinical nursing practice, research and education, as well as management. As a nurse, you must also strive to achieve a core of the research-based professional knowledge. Being in this profession, it is also very important that you must organize as well as participate in maintaining a safe, equitable, social and economic working condition in nursing. And now moving on to the nurses and the co-workers. Being in this nursing profession, it is very important that you must maintain a cooperative relationship not only with the individual but as well as with the other healthcare professionals. You must also take appropriate actions in order to safeguard the individual, family or the community when their health is endangered because of some actions which was taken by the co-workers. You must participate and share responsibilities as well as recognize and perform the duties of a citizenship. So these are the four elements which was outlined by the INC Code of Ethics of Nurses. Now moving on to the next, that is the INC Code of Professional Conduct for Nurses in India. Here the first one is professional responsibility as well as accountability. So as I've said, being in this profession, when you are providing care to the people, you are fully responsible and accountable for that particular client. So you must appreciate the sense of self-worth as well as nurture it. You must also maintain a standard of professional conduct reflecting credit upon the profession. You must carry out the responsibilities within the framework of the professional boundaries. You are also accountable for maintaining the practice standards which has been set up by the INC, that is the Indian Nursing Council. You are accountable for your own actions as well as decision. You must also be very compassionate when you are providing care to your client. And while providing care, you are responsible for the improvement of the current practice. The next one here is the nursing practice. So as a nurse, you must provide care in accordance with the standards which has been set for practice. You must also treat all the individual as well as the family members with human dignity in providing physical, psychological, social, spiritual, as well as developmental aspects of care. You must also respect the tradition, the culture, as well as the belief of the client and discourage any harmful practices. You must also present a realistic picture in regardless of any situation, either it be good or bad. You must always be truthful and project the facts to the client as well as the family members. You must also promote the participation of the individual as well as of the family members in decision making. You must also ensure a safe practice whenever you are performing any procedure or whenever you are providing care to the patient. You must also consult, coordinate, cooperate, as well as communicate appropriately when an individual needs exceed the nurse competence. The next one is the communication and the interpersonal relationship. So being in a nursing profession, it is very important that you have a good communication skills. Not only that, but you must also maintain a good interpersonal relationship with the client, with the family members, as well as with the community. This good communication and a good interpersonal relationship is not only limited to the client and to the family members, but you must also maintain this with the other healthcare professionals. You must uphold the dignity of the team members as well as you must always appreciate and nurture the professional role. You must always uphold the dignity of the team members as well as you must always appreciate and nurture the professional role of the team members. And being a nurse, it is very important that you must always cooperate with the other healthcare professionals. As you know that when a client comes to the clinical settings, it is very necessary that all the healthcare professionals must work as a team. Especially we being nurses, it is very important that we must cooperate and coordinate with the other healthcare professionals in order to provide a high quality care to the patient. So, in order to achieve this and to meet the needs of the patient, we must always coordinate and communicate and maintain a good interpersonal relationship with the other healthcare professionals. The next one is valuing human being. As soon as a client comes to the clinical settings, it is our responsibility to provide care to the client. So it is very important that we must value each and every client. We must always take appropriate action to protect the individual from all the unethical practices. We must also consider the relevant facts whenever we are taking any decision for the client. And whatever decision we take must also be in collaboration with the individuals as well as with the family members so that it will be to the best of their interests. We must also encourage and support the client to make their own decision as well as to raise out their concern. And whatever decision they make or whatever concern they had raised, we must try our best to respect as well as to support it. Now moving on to the last one, that is the management. So as a nurse, we must ensure appropriate allocation as well as the utilization of the available resources. So whenever we provide care to the client, we must make sure that we utilize each and every equipment appropriately as well as allocate them in their correct position. We must also participate in supervision as well as education of the students and the other formal care providers. Whenever we are delegating any duties to our fellow staff members, we must use a proper judgmental skill so that the high quality care is being provided to the patient. We must also facilitate a conductive work culture in order to achieve the objectives of the Constitution. We must also make sure that the communication is being done effectively and through the proper modes of communication. We must also participate in the performance appraisal of the team members as well as make sure that the evaluation of nursing services is being done. So these are the various INC Code of Professional Conduct for nurses in India. So now here we have come to the end of this topic, whereby in today's session we have dealt about what ethics is, what are the purpose, the functions, the ethical consideration, as well as the code of ethics, its four elements, and the INC code of professional conduct for nurses in India. I hope you guys have got a clear insight of this topic. I'll be meeting you guys in another session whereby I will be doing the continuation of this topic, that is the legal considerations. So I hope you guys have understood this topic. Thank you.